The Board of Selectmen's February 13th, 2018 budget meeting is Rebecca is out of town. I'm expecting Ed to show up sooner or later. We have the town manager here, town finance director here, road crew here, the water department, waste department's here, the library's here. So, please stand with me and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is not a regular selectmen's meeting. This is a budget meeting, but we are going to take care of one housekeeping chore. Been asked to post the roads for heavy traffic. Beginning February 15th, 2018, the following roads will be posted for weights over 23,000 pounds. They will remain posted until further notice. Pine Hill Road from Sullivan Street to Messenger's Bridge. Little River Road from Messenger's Bridge to North Berwick Town Line. Long Swamp Road from Little River Road to Lebanon Town Line. Cranberry Meadow Road from Pine Hill to Old Sanford Road. Old Sanford Road from Cranberry Meadow Road to North Berwick Town Line. Diamond Hill Road from Old Sanford Road to Little River Road. Wentworth Road from School Street to Old Route 4. Blackberry Hill Road from Berwick Road to Portland Street. Guinea Road from Blackberry Hill Road to School Street. And Old Pine Hill Road North from School Street to Pine Hill Road. I will make a motion that we post these roads.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Now we'll get down to our budget.
Want to do our guests first?
Might as well.
The Berwick Library Association. Come on up.
And that'll be under the transfers tag.
Miscellaneous.
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 Does everyone have a copy? I made you all nice color copies, but if you don't have it, I have it.
Oh, they should be in their books.
They should have everything in their books.
Okay,
Yep.
good. These are just what's happening at the library these days. Do you want to set the table?
You can sit here, yeah.
I have Kathy with
Huh?
me.
No, you can sit. The Library Association this year has requested $104,000 for a number of reasons, but as I said earlier, that we were trying to flat fund all of the organizations this year, as I'm doing the same as much as I can with all the departments. You know, we're trying to bring the budget in as low as we can. My recommendation was to fund them at last year's amount, which was $99,000. But you have questions for the group?
Actually, last year's amount reads 94.
We increased it to 99.
Yeah, we increased it at the last minute.
That 94 was the 2017 actual on your sheet.
So, we all know that you guys operate on a shoestring. As the town manager said, that we're trying to, create as flat a funding possible for the town also. And even as is, I think I heard today that we're up about 5%.
5%.
As is. I know you asked for 104,000. How much is a cut to 99 gonna hurt you?
Well, we're gonna have to make do with whatever happens or increase our fundraising, that's bottom line. Our increase is basically tied to salaries. State minimum wage keeps going up. We're just barely ahead of that as it is. So that's gonna catch us if we don't keep looking at salaries for the few people that we do have. We also just upgraded to a new software, which has some increased costs. We're still trying to get all of that sort of managed within our budget. We've been talking about needing a new server to support some of our technical upgrades, so that's something we're looking at going forward as well. We've had a couple of issues in the last year with security, so we found we've had to increase security spending, and we've lost some volunteers that used to take care of some of the maintenance for us, so we've had to spend more in that area. So as a result, we're looking at sort of realigning some of the things that we're doing. So I don't really know how to answer the question, what would we do if you leave us at 99? You know, we're ecstatic that the town supports us, and we would be happy to have 99, but 104 would help us get that little bit further ahead.
We had, some departments have gone up in there.
Most,
They haven't held it flat.
No, we haven't been able to hold it flat.
you know,
Right,
mo-
so
a lot
we're
of
asking
ours
them to hold it flat for $6,000,
5.
$5,000.
is, a lot of our, as she said, is a lot of our increases have been contractual wages and things like that, so that's what's driving our budgets up also.
Right.
Is,
It's very hard to be able to hold on to professional staff at the wages we can offer. We have an amazing staff. I don't know how we do everything we do in the amount of time we're open. It's not in 28 hours, I can assure you that. Everything that the town puts in to the library goes right back to the community. You know, we're here to serve the community, so the more we're supported, the more we can do for our community as far as programming, cultural events, author talks, educational, you name it. I have music in the library, we have, you know, cooking lessons, we have all kinds of things that help our community. And it's all free to the community. So we're here to serve the community, and we do appreciate everything we get, but when you boil down this budget to the bare bones, it's all about, you know, giving back and what we can do
you know,
with.
and I know you guys do a lot of fundraisers, and it's hard to,
do.
it's hard to raise money that way,
Does, we
too.
go from one to the next. We really, really try and keep at least one fundraiser a month almost.
Right.
Right now, we have
And
three.
I'm sure you guys are, you know, experiencing the fundraising fatigues, you know.
Yes, sir.
As you see things start dropping off after a while.
We do.
Yeah,
I mean,
you-
people are very generous in this town, but, you know, there's only, you know, chocolate and book sales and flowers, and anything we can do, we do. So, we're trying really hard.
We've been doing a lot more grant work as well. We've gotten a lot
Yes.
of grants this last year. So we've been trying to supplement so we can continue all these programs like robotics and things.
Last year when we were sitting here, I asked if you guys had ever considered, you know, becoming part of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any talk with the library board or anything about that?
We have talked, and it would be something we would love to know all the details about. You know, it's hard to make decisions and make
Right.
calculated decisions without having the details, but that is certainly something that, given all the information, how it would benefit us, how it would benefit the town, how it would benefit.
Are you gonna give them more money if they become part of the town?
Well,
That would be one
That'd be
person.
one
well,
question.
well, you know, there would be some cost savings, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know, you know, Robert's crew would be plowing the driveway instead of hiring somebody to
Yeah.
plow it. You know,
Robert will need a new truck.
Robert always needs a new truck.
I say we give him the $5,000.
We'd love to sit down and just to information gather is
Right.
always, that's certainly.
I spoke with my two brothers, Michael and Chris, were involved in the founding of the library, and I spoke with them a little bit about this, and they brought up some questions. I don't know, you guys may be better able to find the answers to that. The land for the library was donated by the Philbricks, And then there's money for the library building itself was from the Dick Stillings. Is, my brother said that there may be something there that
Be.
is, that restricts it from becoming a town department. Because they looked at that when they first started this. So there's something that you might want to look at and try to find out. But I think there would be lots of cost savings actually for it. So maybe after budget season, you could get together with the town manager and the finance department. And like I said, it'd be things like plowing, buying fuel oil, things like that, I know we get discounts and buy in bulk, so it'd be, offset there.
Right.
So, any further questions?
How much do you guys raise in funds privately?
Kathy can probably answer that.
We estimated where we would be at the end of this year, around 20,000 of the 118 that our current budget is.
Okay, so that would be another 20,000 I think we'd have to take on, because that's part of what you use as taking care of maintaining and running the library, correct?
Yes,
Right,
yes.
So I'm not sure in that sense that 20,000 could be eliminated and saved. More importantly, last year versus this year, you had given us figures and information regarding usership and
Yeah.
participation. I didn't see anything in there.
I know. I didn't have time to really pull all those numbers together. There are many different ways I can do that, and I'm happy to pull those numbers together for you and email you all separately on that. I just don't have the time to get everything done.
Yeah, you got a library to run too.
The library, and I have a state report that I'm working on.
No, I understand, but here we are asking to give 99 when you asked for 104, and last year we took it out of what we had contracted out for the town planner budget that had opened up because John had left, and that money's not available. And with additional issues that we have coming forward, you got the Sullivan Street property we've already purchased, discussion about building a fire department, and I'll state it this way, a potential massive increase in school funding that isn't what we're talking about when it comes to state shortfalls, but rather the potential for North Berwick to lead the district. And I think that we don't have the the allowance to probably take on these kind of costs without at least knowing that what South Berwick does when it comes to producing its information and what it shows for participation in user rate, it's showing that there's a consistent growth or steady, number of people who are using it versus us. I remember what we had seen before. It was trending down, and it was about a third in most of the programs that South Berwick had versus us. We were about a third of what they were getting, and we
that
were.
was a year before I came.
I know, but
So
I'm pointing out the
I have
factors.
tripled the number of people that come through the door. I've got a door counter last year that we installed that accurately counts the number of people that come in.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing at least 2 to 3 programs a month, and we're only open 28 hours. So I assure you that our participation, our patronage has increased.
Well, you said you didn't have the time to put these things together, but you're testifying that you do know those things, so.
I know it. I'm in the library. I'm in the library every day that it's open. I run the programs.
I'm just saying, I know that our participation rate of our library is less than other neighboring communities, particularly South Berwick. I'm sure if we looked at Somersworth,
Have you
theirs is
seen
higher.
the size of South Berwick?
It's not about
compared to
size.
ours? It's about the size of the library, the collection. It's about the number of hours they're open, the number of staff. There's a whole lot of different things that come together with that.
Have you,
Where are you getting your numbers?
when I get my numbers, I actually went back and it's what you guys gave me last year, the form that actually listed out programs and participation rate. We were not close to what other neighboring towns
Right,
were
and we were
offering.
manually counting that, and like
And that was
Sharon
based
just
on the
said,
year before.
we wanted to get more accurate numbers, so we purchased the door counter,
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't rely on the staff to count.
But if the testimony is going to be given that it's been tripled, if that's in fact the number, I want to see those hard figures to be able to at least see that that's demonstrated in a form that we can actually hold on to, like we have in the budget here. And as first told we didn't have it, now it's being put forward that we do have that kind of figure. I would like to see that because again,
I have that kind of figure because I'm at these things. I'm running the programs.
I know,
And
and-
you can come through and attend any of them and see it yourself.
I could, but here's the thing. I work here on the Board of Selectmen, and you gave us a nice folder with a lot of things that the library does. When we're talking about the budget, I'm looking at the hard facts and the numbers of what it is that we're budgeting versus what we're getting out of that budget we
These are your
allocate.
hard facts. These are your numbers. This is what it costs to run the library.
And I'm talking about the usership versus what we're paying, and if it's per dollar spent, what we're getting out of it, compare with other communities, compare with all the burdens we have as a town. I had those figures last year, and I know I was the one who did not go along with the extra $5,000 and who was one who hammered on those numbers. And I don't have them this year. So that's why I'm being a stickler for it. I'm going to be
Well, I did
consistent.
things a little differently. I thought you would like a little more rounded picture of what we do.
I want to see the
And that's-
figures, the
that's
numbers.
what I
Sharon.
thought. Yes.
Can you get us that information?
I can.
Okay,
You might
thank
have
you.
to wait a few days. I
Yep,
have
yep, that's
other
okay.
things that are
Yep, if you can send
happening.
that out, we're not making any final decisions tonight.
Sure.
We're still collecting information.
Sure.
And, just for a comparison, if we're gonna start comparing,
I mean, you can't compare towns. You can't compare
Yeah,
North Berwick
right.
and you can't
Well, I was
compare
gonna say,
South
if we're gonna compare things, let's start comparing budgets also,
Yeah,
and see what North Berwick and South Berwick budget compared to our budget. and
Certainly.
we'll
No, I've
look at
personally
it.
been significantly impressed with what you guys have accomplished with the amount of funding that you've been
Thank you.
receiving. So
thank you.
there's a lot more programs that you guys are putting on. There's a lot more people showing up there. They're televised. It's completely apparent
Yeah, I
that
know
you're-
Terry spends a lot of nights down at the library
She
now.
does. And I get a lot of good feedback from the community.
Yeah, you're doing a
and-
good
And
job.
that's what we're here to serve the
Yeah.
community.
Right.
But if you
I'm
can.
not trying to pull any wool over anyone's.
Well, if you can get that information to Steve, and then he can disseminate it to us,
Sure.
we'd appreciate that,
Sure.
so.
But it's not gonna give you, when you look at statistics, and you all know, I know you all have dealt with statistics. When you look at statistics, you have to take the big picture. That's why I
And
did
we
the
will.
evaluated tax in the back, because I took towns that have the same valuation taxes than that, not population.
Right.
When you look at population, you're not even talking about what people are paying.
Right.
So, there's a lot that goes into it.
Any further questions?
No.
As I said, we're not making any final decisions tonight, we're
Okay.
just getting the information.
Great.
The final vote, I think, is March 6th.
March 6th.
Well,
I'll get
I won't
the
be here.
numbers for you.
Thank you.
won't be here?
no, I won't. I'll be in Florida, so, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You actually I don't know if we're doing it school day for the 6th, or are we doing the
It
20th?
has to be the 6th.
Has to be the
because
6th,
final
that's right.
is the one.
Yeah,
All right. Let's do,
Oh, you wanna go back to transfers instead of finishes?
yeah.
I don't care, we can go back.
whichever one you guys wanna choose, you're the dealers.
Well, if you wanna deal with your guest.
Yeah, let's do our gas.
All right.
What are we
Do the
doing?
Sewer department?
Transfers in the transfers, the section just before miscellaneous.
Their request this year is a
Thank you.
little bit less than last year, $36,386. From what I understand, things have changed at the sewer department, and they have a good revenue stream. I don't think, we have not given them the funding from this year's budget, so it'll come in the next couple of months, right? Or-
Half of it's gone out this month, the other half will go out in April, because they're April and June debt service.
So our recommendation is not to fund this year, because I think their revenue is increasing substantially compared to what they were, a lot to do with this gentleman right there. I've heard good things about this new operator, so that's our recommendation. Any questions of Jay?
Well, I know Jay.
Yeah.
I know Stephanie, is it?
Yes, and
Yep,
I guess
yep.
I'd like to say that we are really cautiously optimistic. We're doing a great job.
Before you go, could you just introduce yourself so other people
sure.
know?
I'm-
Speaking to the microphone, they'll get you on the camera.
For the
Believe
benefit of
me.
the listening audience, Jay Wheeler, Administrator of the Berwick Sewer District.
Yeah,
Our Chairman.
And I'm Stephanie Rochford.
right,
And I'm Mike Tibbetts, the chief operator for the treatment plant.
all right, so,
And what-
continue now.
Oh, go ahead.
And we have a wonderful resource with a great chief operator that is doing a really good revenue source, but I want to say that we are cautiously optimistic. We put forth when we had our budget meeting, very bare bones. We did not pad it at all. The amount that we are asking for the town share is 4% of our total budget. And if we look at the history, I think it's a beautiful history of wastewater treatment in the Berwick Sewer District. The US EPA is younger than me, and I think I'm like a dinosaur in the field, but the US EPA is younger than me. The Clean Water Act is younger than me. And I was too little, I don't remember, but I do hear tell that there was raw sewage running down the streets of Berwick. And the history being that the town decided they would support the sewer district with a certain percentage to get a treatment plant. And at this point, we still would need some support, and we feel that it is a win-win for the town because we see wonderful things happening with growth in Berwick. And in order to run our treatment plant ethically and properly, we do need this 4%. We certainly hope in the future that we don't have to ask for anything, that we can support it all through user rates, but we're just not quite there yet.
That I would add, I mean, basically starts when Prime left it 10 years ago with 60% of the budget. That's with the one that year I took over, and I've got a heck of an education. But at this point, where we expected a 10-year adjustment, we're at a point now with this year's budget, it was a lot more comfortable doing it because we wouldn't have to have any little bit of savings that we had to rely on, possibly having to use them. Now I feel we have a budget that we can work with. We have some possibilities that are new and not fleshed out. We're at a point where we're renewing things that we've neglected for a long time, a lot of equipment, operations, updating, so that we can get better control and become way more efficient. We're still not quite at the point where we can say we're in great shape, financially. I would equate it to, we want to share in the cost of these pump stations. The pump stations are what gets the sewage over the hill to our plant that has this real big license volume, 1.1 million. Right now, we get an average of 200 to 250,000 a day. And that unused capacity is something we'd like to refill. That'll make us healthy, but it's also something that the town has to sell. You can take on new business, and we're hoping to get this place across the street going, so that that takes this place of paying for what we have, but we're just not quite there.
What kind of funds have you brought in this year from accepted sewerage?
We had towards the end of the year was just over 100,000, and that was starting late in the year.
100,000. Now, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've asked why we can't bring that in. So what has changed?
Well, you want me to go? Well,
No, I just want to provide the simple answer, because you have asked that, and I've asked that question as well. And with prior operators, chief operators, and even our engineer with the costing model that they used, said it wasn't possible. Mike, with Mike's experience, common sense, and knowledge, he's shown by doing, little by little, have proved it to DEP, who's actually allowed our license, allowed a change in our permit from taking in 11,000 a day, which is a fairly small volume, to be able to go to 50. They've seen the value in what we did, or especially Mike did, during last summer, and
So what
allowed
you're
that
saying,
change.
we've had the wrong gentleman running the plant for the last 10 years?
Yeah, we've been busy with a lot of things, but
No, the guy that's running the plant, the chief operator, we've had the wrong person there because he couldn't figure out how to make it work?
Oh, that's what, when asked, that's what it said, yeah. That was his reply. I mean, you have to base, I don't have the grade license and the knowledge of the treatment, so I have to rely somewhat on who we have in place, yeah.
And how quick are you gonna recoup what, you know, we brought in 100,000 last year. How much we brought in this year,
Let me,
year to date? I guess I'm trying to.
let me chime in. So, the engineers and the former operators didn't believe you could do the septic thing. And I said you can because right down the street in South Berwick, they're doing
Oh,
it.
yeah, they've been doing it for years.
So, if you just go by a book, you can't do it. But if you take a little at a time and experiment with it and take your time and know what you're doing, and that's what we've done. As the year went on, we progressively got more and more. So, yes, we brought in 120,000, whatever it was. And that's fine, but we're not set up to take septage. Septage, no one wants it because it is nasty. It's strong strength waste. There's a lot of plastic products, stuff that can mess up your entire treatment facility. So we're in the process right now of trying to, with this money in place, fund equipment that can handle the septage properly, so we don't destroy what we have down there right now, which is already run down. What they have right now has been let go for so long, and they've band-aided it together because there wasn't no revenue because they didn't know how to bring it in properly. So we have, I'd say, a 3 to 5 year window that we can't. If we lost this money, it'd be detrimental to everything we're trying to do. We're on the right path. I've been there for a year now. I'm super excited. I knew I could get it here. I didn't realize how quick we could. But bringing in that 120,000, which I think this year we can bring in 120, 150 to 175, hopefully. But we still need to be able to handle it. So that means purchasing the equipment, which any industrial piece of equipment is not cheap. Right now, we're looking at buying a screen and another dewatering press that's going to cost close to $500,000. So this is going to get us to where we need to be, but it's not like we can afford to take money out right now. We still have to fix the equipment that's in the treatment facility to operate the plant. In today's day and age, everything is automated. That treatment plant is running late 80s, the technology. And we've already done a lot in the past year to get some stuff automated. By the end of this year, I will probably have 95% of the stuff automated, which helps the treatment, I can make it more efficient. I can trend everything, see if it happens at midnight, I can go in there and see, hey, this is what happened. It's not a guessing game no more. So we've also reduced the chemicals almost in half that they were spending over $50,000. We got it cut down under 25. So everything we're doing is making us more efficient. We have some things that we're doing for power savings, but it costs money to get there. If you pull out $36,000, that's a massive setback with how fast we're moving forward. Because everything we're spending is making us more efficient, and we're getting that back. And I've been through this before. I worked at another treatment plant that was just like this. It was run down. Within 6 years, I think we were winning DEP awards. So this money is very crucial right now. By pulling that out, it's like pulling the rug out from underneath what we're trying to accomplish. This treatment plant is going to be something Berwick can be proud of. I'd like to see in 5 or 6 years have the schools coming in and bringing kids down. Maybe even me go to the school and go to biology classes and teach these kids some stuff, because I have a passion for this. I love my job, and this is very crucial to the town. The money, the $36,000 is actually dedicated to the pump station upgrades that they've done, which having this treatment plant here and having them pump stations allows you guys to do anything now down here. You could have a brewery. You could have an industry move in there. A couple years ago when Prime left and they upgraded these pump stations, they easily could have said, spend a quarter of that money, put small pumps in that just need to handle the domestic, and been done with it. They didn't. They built for the future. The other pump station was built to help the water district out. And this station here can help anything that this community can throw at it now, because it was oversized for this. And that's where that $36,000 is from. And it helps the entire people in the town. It don't just help the payers for the sewer.
So we're hearing that is, the big changes at the district. I'd like to say that I think that changing of the trustees had a lot to do with it. Is having people there that understand the system certainly helps, I'm sure. Is you talk about winning awards, I want to go the other way. We had problems a couple years ago with the DEP. What's up with that?
Nothing at this point, it's in there,
Still-
ball's in their court.
Still being decided in
Yeah,
Augusta?
we've traded information back and forth, and,
In what, 2
it's-
years now?
no, that was, just last year.
And that was one of my selling points when I came here, was that you are not gonna have to worry about that. I have a working relationship with the DEP that goes back and forth with a lot of trust and respect with them guys. So I can't change what happened before, but I can assure you nothing like that would ever happen in the future.
I'm gonna change tactics here a little bit. You talk about, the plant being something Berwick can be proud of. What's the advantage to Berwick, and I mean all of Berwick, of having the sewer district a separate entity into itself rather than a town department?
That was decided by the town
I'm
when it
not
was
asking
formed.
about why it was decided. What's the advantage to the town right now to have it as a separate entity? Is there an advantage to the town?
I guess the only advantage might be what you just said, that you have trustees on board that help with the budgeting and money approval process that are educated, and the town would have to have appropriate supervision for that.
As I said, with the library, there could be a lot of, cost savings in other areas.
There sure could be.
Typically, when you see a wastewater treatment plant run by a town, the funds get taken from the wastewater treatment plant and get put elsewhere, and the treatment plant falls behind. Summersworth was a perfect example back in the day. They literally let the place fall apart. They tried to go to OMI. OMI literally let it fall apart, and then the town was stuck with a $15 million upgrade or something like that, $20 million. I can't remember what it was. That's typically what happens. I can't give you any other factual place it happened, but I guarantee, give me a couple hours online and I can
The
show you.
plant you came from before, was that town operated or was that,
That was a district, and it was eerily similar to, I started out of high school in Berwick.
right?
When the tannery shut down, I went to another town, and it was lack of knowledge and lack of giver that they just let the place fall apart.
But was it a town department?
No, it was a district.
District.
It was a
right.
district.
Is you work in Summersworth?
I do,
Is
and
that a
it's
town?
It's a
city?
town department, and it runs from an enterprise fund. And there are parts in our budget, like we spend, like 50% of the salary for a clerk, who we never see, who does billing for us. And sometimes we have like 50% of a vac truck, because it's, and it's all really, really deep in the city charters, that the collection system is mainly the responsibility of the highway department in the city, but the pump stations are in our enterprise fund. And it's really an education that the city has to understand, that there are user fees that are in that enterprise fund, and there's only certain things that money can be used for. But as long as the people that are, running the money are understanding, then it certainly can be done.
South Berwick, are they a town department?
No.
No, they're a district?
District, yeah.
Okay.
There are not many that are actually run through the towns that are local, small in York County.
So,
Myself, I can't say that I have an opinion either way, having not explored it at any length. I've seen notes, meeting minutes where it's been talked about before, there've been meetings that talk about it. There'd be a lot of things involved, but,
well, you have to change the charter for one thing at the state level, so.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions?
So what do you say if you get, this will be the last time you're gonna ask for money?
I honestly would not say the last time. Like I said,
Never say last.
I could very
Yeah.
easily foresee us being self-sustainable.
After
I
this?
walked in there this year, and I mean, you want to talk about a shoestring budget. They were actually not on, they were falling behind. Equipment was failing and being band-aided together. So there's a lot that needs to be done to get us where we need to be. But with what we're doing right now, with the revenue stream coming in, like I said, in 3 to 5 years, I could see it easily, us being on a head above water and actually being able to put money aside for future projects. That's the problem is, if you're falling behind and then you have to buy a $500,000 worth of equipment, well, yeah, you got this piece of new equipment, everything's failing around it. I think we can be always moving forward.
The way I equate it or feel it, I mean, the board, when they discuss it, they're thinking in their head, after we're going through budget this year, maybe 3 to 5 years, what I've thought about in looking at the property next door. It's plumbed, we're plumbed all the way around it. It's basically when something moves in there, you know, we can hook it up. There's no big capital expense except whatever they
Property's
need.
at over here.
Yeah, and so, you know, you take a guess, I mean, is that gonna be 3 to 5 years when that comes back? Because that's gonna add a big level of usership, you know, user income for us. That's gonna replace, yeah, we hope, exactly,
Yeah,
so.
that is our hope. If that
That's why
4%
I
that
can't
we're
say for
asking
sure.
for can come out of, you know, other revenue from other users, that would be, you know, that would be a win-win for the town.
With this board, or the board we have now, I mean, that's our goal. We'd love to get out of here, to be honest. But to say it's gonna be this year, we'll look at it next year, from that point, if that's fair.
Treatment plants can be self-sustainable. We're just so far behind, we need to catch up. And that's where we stand right now. And by pulling this out, would be a huge step back, considering how far forward we've come in the last year.
Well, how about this, is, we give you the 36,000, if you reach your $150,000 goal, you give it back to us.
Then we can't replace the other equipment that's
You,
failing.
Oh, well, I'm trying to negotiate.
yeah, no, I like your. I like
All right,
your
so
tack.
if you reach 175,000.
Yeah,
Well, you
maybe
pay
so.
a portion of it back.
Maybe so, and I'm hopeful, but you have to realize that added gross income comes with a lot of expense and
Oh, I understand,
tipping fees,
yeah,
and
right, yeah.
it's only a portion. Yeah, so.
Any more
That's
questions?
gross income, that's not net,
No,
that's septic fees?
yeah,
that's not net.
that's a gross income. That's, I don't know.
Yeah, every
don't know
month I take
percentage-wise.
into account certain chemicals that we use, sludge disposal,
So what is
and
the
I
net
don't know off the, like,
percentage?
we was bringing in towards the end of the year, the last few months, 25,000 a month, and I think we were spending 12 on those months. So about half of it we were spending. But you gotta remember, there's also a cost associated to treating just domestic.
Right.
I mean, so let's say I was spending 12, maybe if we didn't have septic, I would've spent 6. So maybe 70% of it's income. Like I said, I'd have to sit down and break that down a little more. My main goal was to see how far ahead we were after paying our bills, giving us more money to spend on things, to repair things, update things, get into the 2000s, let alone 2018.
There was one huge benefit in that unexpected, is that when Prime left, they used to adjust the water for pH. And we had been having pH problems, and we had a chemical that's been going up and up and up. And by taking in the septic with what that's providing for alkalinity, right? It's actually helping us getting away from that usage. So it was a little side benefit that's really saving us in chemical as well, which is nice.
Yeah, we've cut the chemicals at least in half. And some of it was just tightening up the operations, some of it was the benefit of the septic.
Any further questions? As you heard earlier, this is just the budget hearing, we're not making any decisions yet, as that's to come.
Thank you. Any questions in the meantime, feel free to.
Yeah, you guys
thank
can
you.
feel free
Come
to
and
stop
see us, for
down
sure.
and take a tour, and I can gladly show you where we are and where we're heading. Like I said, it's pretty exciting to be where we're at compared to where we were a year ago.
And Ed, the lab is got all the latest and up to datest.
The
Yeah,
lab
I
was
went,
kind
I
of
forget when I went down there last year, but I'd like to take another look at
Yeah,
it to see
yeah.
where you've come to this point.
Very, very
And
well.
that's where the problem with the DEP came from, was the lab. And now we have a pretty nice lab set up with all new equipment that is full.
But how did it get that way? I guess that's the most disturbing part, the whole thing is that it was
I
allowed.
think it was lack of knowledge.
Oh,
From my
it's
tour,
meant to get that way, and, you know, we went through a lot of money in the last 10 years, and,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know,
Like I said, I can't change what happened, but I
No,
know
I
we're
understand
moving
that, but-
forward so fast, it'd be a shame to say, nope.
and I understand that too. Show a
I'll
lot
tell
of
you, I was really on the,
enthusiasm.
yeah, I was on the fence with this. last year as well, just because of the way things were going. I hear good things about you. I hear good things that are happening down there. So I have faith that we're making some progress. So there may be some hope in changing my mind.
We're making progress a lot faster than I think anyone realized.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, you show good enthusiasm too, so.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
we
Or I do.
appreciate it, yeah.
We have an optimization project that should be substantially complete this month. We're testing
Next
out the
week,
equipment.
hopefully.
Next week, yep. And that's really gonna add a lot to what we can do. A lot more
a lot more
control.
automation and control.
What about nitrogen discharge into the river? How is that?
With our new optimization project, it's a 3-tank system that will be able to take a better look at the
Nitrogen levels?
total nitrogen.
Well, the nitrogen levels, our nitrogen problem isn't a problem right now. Our nitrogen we treat. The phosphorus is the one that
Yeah,
is a little harder. It costs money because we do it chemically, which the
Right.
chemicals cost a lot, which make us add another chemical, so you're adding 2 chemicals. This new system is supposed to do it biologically. We're still gonna need to buffer it with a chemical,
right.
but it should reduce it quite a bit. And we got a lot more automation in that tank. We have probes around it that are 24-hour sensing probes, so we can see the activity that's going on. It should give me a lot of flexibility on what I can do with it, and just having the knowledge.
It's all gonna
to do it.
depend on where the state goes with what they do for permitting. Right now, that BNR system, I don't know if we're gonna be one of the first in the state that are running that, and it's a process that's gonna be ahead of that nutrient removal. So,
Yeah, the Great Bay issue
Yeah, that's what it is.
that New Hampshire went with, because the EPA regulates their
We're
licenses.
right on the other side of the river, so we're gonna be affected by it somewhere.
Well, yeah, Maine is just kind of waited until the legal battle's completely, the dust is settled. But eventually, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
They're always gonna keep moving forward and lower your limits and stuff. But Maine's done good about saying, we're gonna hold off until
They've
last
been-
second, figure out what's going
they've been
on.
great with their, I feel, a more scientific approach to how they're measuring, so I think it's the benefit of us all, for sure. But we shall see.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
meeting
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna jump back to miscellaneous, and we're gonna do economic development, which is the funding that Envision Berwick uses.
There's some miscellaneous too?
Yes, right behind where you were.
Nobody's here for that.
Huh?
Nobody's here for that.
Shane? Yep.
Right,
James,
thank you.
James came and gave me a thing to read and left. I don't know where he went.
Okay, we'll discuss it then. They've asked for 39,000.
42,000. Oh, no, 39, that's right.
39,500. We've gone through their budget. We carry their funding forward every year. And we're recommending 15,000, which is what we funded them last year. Some of the things that they were hoping to do, we've taken out, such as contracting with Mr. Lassell. I think we can do without that this year. TIF Consulting, Scott Benson, he's got a full-time job in Lewiston, Auburn, and the Growth Council, but we're at a point now, and he said he thinks we're in very good hands with Bernstein Shore. Shanna Cook, Mueller is top-notch. We actually worked with her on the TIF when I was in Lisbon, that Scott had done. So I think we can avoid funding that. And he's available by phone to me at no cost, so if we need anything, I can ask. Some of the stuff on the fees and matching funds allowance, we've taken out some of that. We are looking at keeping in the CATS funding for the grant and MDOT funding. We've got real good feedback from both groups that that funding is, and those grants are gonna be available for the traffic study here that we would like to do.
Yep.
So I wanted to keep that in. And the recreation materials grant, which was, they had in for 100,000, I said, that can wait this year. There's been really no activity on trails in Berwick for a while, and I think everybody has enough on their plate right now to get through. They're working on the PSNH property, they're still working with Mr. Kahaya and down here. I think we can wait a year on that and not fund it. So our recommendation is 15,000. And whatever else they need, they have the funding in their reserve.
Right.
Right, 'cause they have, what, over $42,000 in their reserve already.
Yeah, that's correct.
And, so, any questions of the town manager on that?
No.
Nope, sounds good.
Robert, front and center.
Hang on to your wallets, guys.
We'll start with the public works budget. Again, the increases here are contractual, for wages, overtime, longevity, and all of that. It's all figured in. The health insurance went up a little bit. Salt, I'll tell you, we budgeted last year 115,000. I'm not sure we're gonna make it through this year.
We're already over 14,000.
Yeah. It's just,
People need to stop
Just
driving.
get in line with the rest of us.
yeah.
I heard too many complaints already.
Oh, let me tell you, the one complaint that you wrote me about, rather interesting, is Mr. Hall does that route, and he did it, and when he came back into the garage, he spoke to Robert and said, somebody's gotta go back and do that again, it's very, very slushy and nasty, and you did go back and do that, so they knew that it needed to be done again, so timing-wise, I'm not sure it helped her, but.
Yeah, I know it's like, what, 9:40, I think was when I got my last call.
We did the same thing on every road.
Yeah.
For some reason, that road, I can't really answer it, you know?
I get it,
That was
you
the
know,
worst
I mean,
road.
cause I drove 236 and some of the other roads, and they were great.
Yeah.
You know, cause it was a pretty nasty morning.
236.
Had some ice this winter.
Yeah, we had the rain right after that snow, so that
Speaking of
froze
that,
on.
that was my next question. So are we doing 236? Because that's a state road,
That's,
correct?
no, that's a state road, but Rob will fill you in what goes on with that.
Occasionally, we have to, because we gotta get our trucks out across there. A lot of times, sometimes the state truck ain't even available. So the police call on us to come through to
Right.
try to clean it up and get
Public
traffic
safety
moving.
issue, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I can go back to the state, they'll give us some salt in return.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
I don't
and
care
it's
about the salt, I
tough.
wanna know about the man hours and the wear and tear on my trucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
another issue as well.
That's what I wanna know.
You know, we head out there, we try to do our stuff that's out there too, you know, at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, you got new dam and.
New dam and a couple of them developments out there. So we try to do that at the same time. You know, this year it really hasn't been too bad. You know, past few years it's been pretty bad. So, you know, we do what we can to keep the police out of there, you know, keep traffic moving.
Sure.
Um,
Especially those two hills.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what does it most of the time.
I just got the statistics, I was telling Tom today, crash ratings for 3 years, 2016, 17, and I guess it was 15. 72 accidents,
On that specific area?
236 alone.
In that area, or is that
Throughout
just
the whole length.
236?
Just in Berwick.
South
Just
Berwick.
in Berwick, it doesn't
Just in
include
Berwick.
South
Just in Berwick.
Between the tracks and the Cumberland Farms.
Yep,
Yeah.
24 a year.
24 on the average a year. So I've got plans to call the regional place down in Scarborough.
Every snowstorm, there's at least 6.
Yeah,
Well, that's a problem, you know? So obviously we need to look at
So
maybe
there's PD
rebuilding
there.
that road.
yeah.
And the
That-
state will show up after a
That's
while.
not a shim and overlay, which is what,
No.
it's
That's
definitely,
what they'll try to do.
That's all they're gonna do,
Yeah.
if they do that.
Yeah, if they do that, yeah.
A few times I went past the state truck. They were too scared to go out across there, so I went
These
out
the new
myself
drivers?
and did this. Yeah, well,
Contract
whatever it
drivers?
is. So, you know, sometimes they are there, but,
I'd stay right on the state, get as much you can out of them.
yeah.
you know, on the rest of this budget, capital lease payments, that's something that you see come in this year. It wasn't in there last year because we were just purchasing it. So that's gone up. Equipment maintenance has gone up. I'm not sure we're gonna get through that budget this year either, because we've had a lot of repairs.
Yep, he's got 6,000 left to get through the rest of the year.
Not enough, but that's what comes with,
Plowing state roads that are trashed.
you're working with
I
old
think we can go
equipment.
back to the state on
Yeah,
that
you
too.
got 1999 and the 2000, I mean,
2000, yeah, 20 years.
The spring's,
You know,
the spring's gonna be rough. I mean, the roads are,
Yeah.
yeah.
they're in bad shape.
We spent 3 days patching, well, 2 days so far after this rain, and we're gonna spend tomorrow patching too. Going through probably 6 ton of patch at least, if not more. So,
Just on Cemetery Road.
Cemetery Road alone, Pine Hill.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Pine Hill's bad.
Hate to say it, but I think we're actually falling behind on the roads. I mean, we're
I
not
don't hate to
keeping
say it
up.
because it's a fact. We are
That's
falling
right.
behind on our
That-
roads. We
that's
have
right.
been for 10 years.
That's right.
We got a question from Ken in the back for the budget.
Patches the roads on Route 9.
This
Hey.
day, this
Yeah,
day,
believe me, I've complained.
we called today.
Help a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. So, that's where we are on their operating budget. Does anybody have any questions on that?
No, it's pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Nothing.
All right,
I don't have any questions.
let's go to the transfer station.
Would it help if we made the Public Works not part of the town? How'd that come in?
Let me tell you something, just briefly.
Hire it out.
They operate on an enterprise account, and I've never seen any town tap into an enterprise account. Your auditors would be all over you for that.
Who's that?
That's, to take money from an enterprise account to put into a town's operating budget. That doesn't happen.
recipe
It does.
Yeah.
Something's
Well, it sounds
wrong.
like it's not happening now.
Yeah, so just keep
That's what
that in
happened
mind.
before.
He might be able to show you examples, but that's not good accounting and good operations management. Transfer station, wages again went up, gave everybody the same as everybody else was getting this year.
Well, this also is including additional staffing for 10 weeks to try to address the increase in summer. So having 4 people on Tuesdays through the summer and possibly around the holidays. So we did 10 weeks of additional staffing, so that's reflected in here. There are 4 holidays as well that the staff gets paid for, so that's reflected in the wages as well. So they had tried additional staffing this past summer, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they found that that was very helpful. We really don't want to go to 4 year-round, so we're going to try 10 weeks and see how that goes.
You know, we've talked many times about the how crowded it is at the transfer station and how, crazy it can get on some weekends. It used to be that we were open 4 days a week. We used to be open on Fridays again. That stopped about 10 years or so ago, if I remember right. Do you think it would help any if we did something like that?
Well, it might, because of the fact a lot of people get off work at 4 or 5 o'clock, and they may come, they might not, you don't know until you try it.
Tuesday, you're pretty busy all day Tuesday, from what it looks like.
Well, the last 3 days been crazy. Last Saturday, we wasn't busy, Sunday, we wasn't busy,
It was raining.
today was off and on. We wasn't really all that busy today. It's crazy, you don't know when we're gonna be busy now.
We've been talking about experimenting with some different hours, just kind of talking about it, and we haven't really come up with anything yet, for sure. Trying to stay open a couple nights a little bit later, so people can get home from work, maybe take care of the trash during the week,
Yeah.
and they don't have to come down on the weekend.
So say like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, be open in the afternoon and into the evening.
That's
you know,
right.
rather than all day on one day.
And we just been passing, talking
Yeah.
about it and
You
trying
get
to come
into the
up with
problem,
something.
yeah, you get into the
Maybe
problem with
having
lighting
Sunday off.
Yeah,
in the wintertime then. you know.
and maybe giving them Sunday off, because no other transfer station is open on Sunday but us. South Berwick's open half a day now, so, but we're open all day, and we're the only one that's,
Yeah, it was-
Probably wouldn't hurt to poll the people and find out what would be
yeah.
more beneficial. That could give you a better idea.
That'd be kinda hard to do,
Well, we could do it on the town website, right, or something like that?
probably the people
Like
that
survey?
that has
Survey
access.
Monkey. Sometimes we get
Yeah,
good responses
something,
to that.
something like that. I mean, it wouldn't capture everybody, but
Yeah,
it
right.
would give you an idea.
Give
you know,
give a good idea. I'd hate to try that, I was thinking just maybe Tuesdays, going in later into the night, because that's the day we're already open, and maybe start with that, see how we make out. If we're drawing people in from 4 to 6 or something like that, and lighten up on the weekends some. I haven't been down there much on the weekends, but it sounds like a madhouse.
It can be. I can't imagine what would happen if you closed on Sunday, though, as I can't imagine what Saturdays would look like.
Another thing we were thinking about was maybe switching the containers around, the way we do household trash and the recyclables. Recyclables is getting pretty big now, and so we've talked about that, but I don't want to change everything at once, because it will be a madhouse.
So you have seen an increase in the recycling?
Yeah,
Is it a substantial one, or?
well, there's,
Well,
she's probably seen the numbers
Yeah.
more than that.
7-month average for this year, we've collected 240 tons. Compared to the last, from fiscal year 13 to 17, that 5-year average was 200 tons.
Wow.
So that's over a 7-month period. So I would say, yes, they are seeing more.
Yeah, I still see some people.
That's saving us.
Yeah, you hear the cans and
Yeah, and all that.
bottles rattle as they go in.
They're just lazy because they don't want to cross over to the other side
Well,
or things like,
That's right. So for instance, what I was thinking right off was doing like the 2 middle containers, do one recyclable and one household trash. And then on where the recyclables are now, do one household and one,
Recyclable.
and one recyclable.
I think that'd be a
And,
great idea.
might
Then you'd
keep-
have the awareness is another issue, because then they would be, cross dumping.
At first, it's gonna be crazy, because people's gonna try to be, it's just a thought, something to maybe try, to try to keep people moving, not crossing over.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's a safety issue as well.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I
It's
think
not really set up real
Yeah.
good for that.
it's not.
So the other big change we had was no more free Saturdays.
That's right.
That seems to be working okay.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't seen any increase in garbage in the back roads.
Not yet.
Well,
It's
that's what everybody always comes and throws at us, oh, you can find the couches in the
We've
back
seen 'em.
roads
Yeah,
and
we've
stuff.
seen a
and-
few.
Yeah, but you see them anyways.
We also did the new contract too, right? The good rate on the
Yes.
on the new contract too, so that's helped out.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and the numbers in the 19 budget are at a 3%, which is the high end of the contract. It could come in less, but
All right.
be on the safe side, I did a 3% over our current rates.
How do you dispose of the wood waste? It's 60, how much is in there for wood waste disposal? We have construction material, 54,000. So that is what? Does that get ground up? Construction, no, that gets trucked off.
Brush does.
The only,
What's construction material? Plywood, 2x4s, things like that?
anything, sheet rock.
G-Rock, all that stuff all goes together.
All kinds of broken metal, plastic, metal, glass.
Kids' toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
What about brush and stuff like that? Does that get chipped up there?
The brush gets taken care of up there. Yeah.
We just stockpile of chips?
No,
He takes them.
He takes them?
Doucette's been doing it. He
Oh,
takes
David
the,
does it?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sheet rock usually goes right to the landfill.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're not really set up to
separated.
separate all this construction debris right now. No, it all goes to the same place, so.
Yeah, you don't have room. If
It's
you were
really
starting to
tough
collect,
to-
just plain nasty stuff there, pressure treated stuff, you can't put those and chip it, they won't take that. But everything else they would, any kind of wood, as long as there's not much metal in it, and you'll be dumbfounded to see how much those piles create. It's huge. And,
Pressure treated, you can't burn it either, can you?
Not supposed to. I know people that do.
Another thing on shingles, we don't take shingles no more.
No?
I send them to ARC. If they come in with a
big
trailer full,
Uh-huh.
I send them right to ARC, and they can dump it right there on the ground, they take care of the whole 9 yards.
Oh, really?
Pay for it.
So that,
They got-
they gotta pay for it our place
Right.
too, but,
Even the construction materials, they have to get paid for? No? Because they could go right to ARC with that.
yeah, they could, but
Oscar takes all
I
that.
believe that's where all the contractors go, because we don't get
Oh, yeah,
contractors no
we
more,
get
so
stuff there.
they gotta be taking theirs there probably.
Sure.
But as far as shingles, well, unless they got just a small bunch, it's all right. But if they got a half a truckload or a truckload, I send them to ARC. Because that gets rid of half the roofing nails on the ground that causes problems with our tractor and stuff.
any other questions on the operating budget?
Maureen, could you give me those figures again? You said it was 2013 on the recycling front, 200,000 tons?
I did a 5-year average, using fiscal year 13 through 17, and the tonnage on average for that period was 200.07. And through the 7 months of this fiscal year, we were at 240.06 tons.
So it's 40 tons in 7 months.
That's quite a bit.
Compared to
Still a
a
ways to
5-year
go.
Generate another
average.
30 tons, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
They're coming to the spring, you probably generate more.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple of months where we have not been charged for the recycling because apparently what they're selling is
It's a commodity that they
it's
get.
offsetting
Oh, so it's
the
good.
cost, so all we're paying for is hauling.
Great.
Do you know what the population change is from 2013 till current?
No, unfortunately, I don't, sorry. No.
Probably going up.
Oh, no, I know, I wanna,
Yeah.
I just wanna take that into account, compare it,
Yeah.
and use that as the offsetting factor for, you get the, basically about 40-ton increase, but whatever part of that is tied to inflation of your population, kind of find the net growth and overall recycling, just to kind of know that differential.
Yeah. Well, she did take the 5-year average up till 2017, so.
Has the household gone down any that you can tell? That would be the, that
People are
would be
drinking
a,
more beer in cans, I don't know. What's going on?
Well,
Something's up.
the 5-year average for Sam Matthews is 580.47, and the 7-month is 556.57, so there's some decrease there. And at the transfer station, the 5-year average is 1,068.51. With the 7-month, it was 1,024.94. So
So we're still paying for Sam Matthews?
his disposal.
Which actually, that actually works out for the town because we're not paying the tipping fees. We get charged the same amount per ton, but we don't get charged for the tipping fees. So that's where we make out on that deal.
Do we get any revenue from the transfer station?
Yes. See that one?
Oh, okay.
We've got budgeted 40,000 for this year. We've collected 28.3 through January.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. You want to do the CIP, you want to just finish up the miscellaneous and
It's up to you.
Transfers. Let's go back to other transfers, just real quickly, there's,
Transfers. Thank you, Hobie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you better
fire
stay there.
protections is stayed the same.
That's a
Up-
fix.
Yeah, it's a fixed cost, yeah. Operating transfers in and out, you can see a substantial reduction in that, because we're only putting in 100,000 this year, which affects our bottom line. And we're putting in 180,000 that's for our roads.
No, it's capital improvements.
Yeah.
The 100,000 is coming out of unassigned fund balance,
Going
which is gonna help fund the roads.
Yeah,
The
okay.
180 is being raised by taxes to fund, 50,000 will go towards roads, and the rest is the other items in the capital improvement plan, okay?
Jockeying around. Contingency, we kept the same. And debt service hasn't changed, yeah.
That's the town share of the water debt, which,
Yep.
when they did the treatment plant back in the 90s,
Yes,
the
98,
voters,
99.
the
When is
voters,
that? And
There's a 30-year note, I think.
For which one?
The water treatment plant, drinking water.
there's 9 years remaining.
that's good. Any questions on that? We did take out the firefighter EMT contingency this year because we're doing the per diem, remember from the last
Yep.
discussions we had? See how that works. Any questions on that?
Are we on track with our capital improvement funds? I mean, I'm sure we would love to put as much as we possibly could in there, but, you know, there's a lot of strains in many directions, and I'm sure more to come that we're uncertain of, but I just want to make sure that we're going to be able to purchase the stuff that we need at the time we need to, and
Yeah,
not
I
get in the
think
same
for
position we
equipment
were.
this year, if you wanna go to capital improvement budget, we can talk about that.
I handed those CIP lists out to you, that was in your packet that I left on the, because we had just finalized that today.
Second page of that one.
We'll start at the top, this electrical upgrade, this is our phase 2 of the town hall. He did all the work inside the boiler room, and this is for bringing in the line,
The main line
Coming in
Coming
across,
in.
right.
and then we'll have another one next year after that,
to get rid of this.
to get rid of the screw-in fuses. Move it into the
We're in the 21st century, huh?
Exactly.
The funding for this is all coming out of the Lena Clark, so it is not on the tax rate.
Which is good. The first lease payment on a cruiser.
Is it a
in there.
cruiser?
Huh?
Is it a cruiser?
It
Or
would
is it
be
the
sort
Tahoe?
of like a command vehicle.
So it's a Tahoe.
Huh?
Right.
It's a Tahoe.
And it'll be,
Why-
I thought the chief would be here tonight, but.
Why are we going with the Tahoe? We haven't had one.
no, what he wanted is a larger vehicle to have, like a command vehicle, like the fire department has. He used the example of the fatal accident out on Route 4 recently,
One next to my office, yeah.
Yeah.
that they had to
Do
bring
multiple
stuff,
trips.
yeah, out with various vehicles because it wasn't all in one vehicle. So that's what he's requesting. Yeah, I don't know where he is.
Huh?
I don't know where he is.
I know.
Expensive vehicle, and tough on fuel, but.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. And then you equip it with all the
So
lights.
Explorer wouldn't be a better, it's not big enough?
No, it's not big enough. I think this is a good move. I think to have that so they can move equipment around, and it makes sense. At first I didn't, but after listening to Chief talk and what they use.
It will be the chief's car?
No, it will be on site. He uses a plane
Yeah, cruiser type.
cruiser type. Again, this is mobile radio upgrades this year. Again, we always fund the SCBA's every year as we do the personal protective gear. They're in a cycle of replacing them. This year we have a dump body in here. This is just one. We originally had two, because we have two steel bodies that are just beyond.
You don't need the spreaders to get the salt on the road, is that it?
Yeah, well, we just had one where we had to weld the back of it because we were losing salt out the back.
Yeah,
It's just
salt.
old.
Salt.
So
So
we're
is that what
replacing it with stainless steel.
Get 10 grand for a stainless steel, one of those salt bodies? Or just a body?
Says
You give us
30,
like-
33,000.
This is stainless steel dump body with a spreader already in it.
For 10 grand?
33.
33.
Where the hell did I see?
33,000.
Go one down.
Oh, yeah, right, 33,000. That's installed?
That's installed, yes.
And what truck would that be going on?
2,000.
What kind of shape is it in?
What, the body now?
Truck.
On the truck, it's,
Not like the body we're
it's,
replacing it.
it's almost 20 years old, so.
So is it good shape, decent shape?
No,
Oh,
It's
wait,
not.
yeah, okay.
but it's what we have. I mean, I can't say.
Either that or
you know.
another 200 grand for
That's
another
right.
truck?
There you go.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that this year.
You know, that body's made it almost 20 years, so we've got our money's worth, a steel body, you know, so the only thing I can say is the stainless one we're getting can go on the next truck we get. You know, that's what we can do.
That's the goal.
The other thing, this one is using quite a bit of salt. If we get some computer equipment in there, we can really refine that aspect of it too.
Yeah.
So this could be a little on the lower side because that truck never had the computer equipment in it.
The new trucks are?
The new trucks all are,
That's
yeah.
working good?
Big savings.
Oh, man.
Yep. That's as good as we can do right now.
Yeah.
The other is a loader. We've got a price, Robert got another price from CAT, 128,000 roughly. That's a smaller
128,000.
one, that's not the, they give us a bigger bucket,
26?
It's a 926M.
yeah, with extra weights and a bigger
Weights in a
bucket.
bigger bucket?
And that's the 128, that's with the trade-in?
That's with a trade-in.
Yeah.
The next size up, which is comparable to what we have now, will be around 146.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch.
And what's
But-
reflected in here for the lease payment is for the larger unit.
The larger unit.
Oh, it's for a new unit?
Because he just got this price. This, the
Okay.
price that's in there right now.
So, I know there's
Price
been,
was? What'd they charge extra to bring the, what was it, like 124, how much they charge you to bring that, put the counterweight on it? Like $1,000 or $2,000?
He told me right around $1,000 is what
I
he
thought it
told
was
me.
124 or 125 for that machine. What am I looking at? What's the total cost again?
128.
I could have sworn, so he must have, is it $1,000? Wasn't it 125 for that, and then he?
We upgraded the bucket, we upgraded the counterweight, and we're getting a spare tire with it also.
Oh, so,
So,
tires $1,000 anyway.
that's right, if not more
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
$2,000. So they did all right by you.
Yeah, he said they pitched in quite a bit really to do that upgrade, so.
See where we fall at the end. MS4, the outfall project, this is for design only. This is what we expect to spend this year. Up on Moulton Road, it's the end of the,
Oh, it's
there's
the-
one more up there that I switched around. We were gonna do something different, and I wanna get that all done because they're gonna be working on the PSNH property. So let's get that finished. And Christie was in today. She'll be coming before you on March 6th to give you an update on where we are in the annual report, but she's done a great job. And again, roads, we're only funding at 150,000.
I thought we were gonna do 300,000.
Well, on top of the other money, it'll be around 330,000.
Okay, all right.
Not enough. I mean, we're gonna get our roads finished up and squeeze as much as we can, but
Start all over again.
start all over, you know. It's like I told the school department, and at this rate, you'll never catch up to your roads. It'll take a long, long time.
We need $1 million a year.
Yeah, you need at least $500,000.
Oh, anyway.
Anyway.
700.
Yeah.
Oh, try to get him to throw a set of forks in for that loader. I'm glad
Maybe
you
you
have
should-
them, I'm telling you
Hey,
right
No,
now.
we got them on the backhoe.
What?
We got them on the backhoe.
Is that the same, is that a Fusion, or is that the old style pin coming out?
No,
Fusion method goes down, right?
it's the new, they got a name for it, the couple, it's quick,
So it's like a skid steer coupler.
yeah, yes.
All right, get him
But we
You
could
should go
put anything
negotiate,
on that
Mark.
loader. We could get a big blower and put on that loader too, if we,
Big what?
big blower.
High flow?
Come on now.
Blower.
Is that high flow?
Yes, I believe it is. I
Or if
didn't
the
ask him
state's
that,
getting
but
any this
he
year,
said
maybe
he'll put
we
any,
can
take
Jump
anything
in on that.
wanna put on it, so.
I've got a little extra.
We could put a plow on that loader too, if later
Yeah,
down the
South
road.
Berwick does. I see North Berwick's got
Yeah.
a Fink on theirs.
Yeah, then we need somebody else to run it, so.
Yep. He could take a night off.
Is seeing the mobile radio upgrades that reminded me. They were gonna do a test of the emergency radios between here and Sanford. Did that take place?
I saw Dana, and he said and Perry, and they said that they could receive it easily from South Berwick and Berwick to Sanford. We met with the Sanford Dispatch Center, and it was a really good meeting. They had, originally, when they started this new dispatch center, and you can see it with what they have, it's a huge outlay, probably 10 seats, which is, and right now, I think they have 4 people on 24/7. So they feel, got rid of Old Orchard. They just couldn't handle it, and some other towns left, but they do the York County Sheriff's Department. They do a lot of the smaller towns for the fire departments, Shepley and Acton, and they do Kennybunk.
They do North Berwick, don't they?
They do North Berwick.
Right.
And they really feel that South Berwick and Berwick is a nice complement for them, and they felt that this would make them run more efficiently. They were talking about 300,000 to add people with all the benefits and stuff they would need, which Perry and I were figuring about 150,000 each. He said that they're not looking to make money; they're looking to just improve how they operate. And we added another 50,000 to that. So we have budgeted 200,000.
We're gonna get away from it for 100.5?
Huh?
We're gonna get away with it for 100.5? Didn't he say 100.5 to you?
Well, that's what we're anticipating. I think it's gonna be 200,000 each.
Where are we now?
South Berwick.
We're in-
168,600.
Yeah, but that was,
So it's not any less money.
huh?
We're not saving any money going to Sanford.
Well, Perry gave us a break last year, or in the contract, but this year, if he stays where he is, he has to go up because he's got his increases. Plus, we have all these new protocols coming in, the WFD and WPD. It's gonna require more manpower, and it's ridiculous.
What happened, what is York's price?
They haven't given me a price.
Not yet?
They gave me a PSAP price for next year. They're going from $2 to $2.50 per capita, but they're supposed to give me a price last week, haven't seen it.
What's the PSAP price in Sanford?
I haven't seen that yet.
Just what they say 150.
Well, we don't have firm numbers, that's why we put the two in
I had to
there.
put something in, because nobody's got me firm numbers yet. And in Sanford, we're talking about, if we do them, we're gonna be operating with South Berwick until September. They want that amount of time to gear up, get people trained.
So we just pull out of South Berwick, or they gotta move too?
The people in South Berwick, they've offered to interview them and sign commitments to them to bring them
No,
over.
but South Berwick will jump to Sanford too, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they will if we do. They have to.
Yeah, talking to the town manager and the chiefs about York is, I guess we need to buy some extra repeaters or something to get around the
We
mountain.
need more equipment.
You know.
York's a very political town. I don't know.
I read in the paper when they were talking about increasing the number of people they dispatch for. The town council there wanted to get payback for all the equipment that they just put in, and it's, I didn't like hearing that.
No, it's a tough town.
So, we'll see. When I have some firm numbers, we'll make a decision, but not until. Everybody in the room felt pretty comfortable with what we were hearing. The town manager was there. They have, they already have their dispatch person who manages that, administrator. And the second in command of that is an IT guy. So they have all their own internal IT just for that operation. And when we got to look at the whole, all the servers and what they're in radio rooms, it's just as neat as a pin. The wiring is just as tight as can be and in place. Tells you a lot about how they operate, I think. And they use their own people for IT. So I was encouraged by that.
Sorry for that diversion, but get back to capital improvement.
Otherwise, you can see the source of the funding, where some of it's coming. And then the allocation from the CIP reserve accounts. Highway fund, so we had left over, and we didn't use it all, but that's where the funding is coming from.
Any questions?
We were gonna do police, but something must have got, Tim must have got
Move
called.
it to the 20th?
20th. Yeah, we can, we have a quiet meeting. 20th, the gentleman from Seacoast Busing asked, he's gonna be
Nichols.
here. He actually asked, and I emailed him back and said, that's funny, because the board asked if you would like to come before them. So he'll be here on the 20th. We can finish the police budget then. We have still the BCTV, but we are having a conference call on Friday morning with them, with the Comcast, hopefully finish up the contract. We'll see, they kind of make some changes here and there.
Your bill's going up. Just want to let you know that.
And
DirecTV, whatever it is, Dish, whatever it is. That's gone up, they all follow suit.
I have an antenna.
Yeah.
we should do that. Let's go back to,
What are we going to?
Miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous.
yeah,
Thank you, Robert.
thank you, Robert. I'm sure you thank Oki.
Take care.
See you, Robert, thanks. Thank you.
Emergency Management Fund, you funded that pretty religiously at $500,000, $50,000, $500.
500. I was gonna say, it's a little excessive.
dang.
How much
Stormwater is
miscellaneous?
18.
Miscellaneous again.
18,000 for the stormwater. That's for design only.
It's the engineering work that she does for the permit.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. This is for her
This is the
contract.
operating side. Yeah. Yes,
This is her contract.
yeah.
To Southern Maine. Each town pays in for her services. And if we're able to get on board, our engineer, he's gonna kind of fill in, work with her on the MS4. That's gonna be part of his job, but that's next year. What else? unfunded liabilities. We reduced that by 2,000 from my department's request.
Yes,
You reduced it.
yes, I did. I flatlined it.
You flatlined it. Hopefully nobody leaves all at once. I think we're in pretty good shape.
I've already experienced that once before.
Overlay, again, we haven't done that. That'll do at commitment time, but we'll see. So overall, as we stand today, we're looking at a 5% increase in our budget. And I honestly can tell you, I don't know where we would make cuts if we were gonna make cuts. Many of these items we need to operate. It's just the cost of doing business. And you've got vehicles that are old. You gotta replace them. I wanna throw money
What's the
away
greatest
on-
increase contributing to that? Is it personnel related overall? Or is it kind
10
of?
cents is gonna be the new leases from the cruisers and dump truck and sidewalk plow and then the code enforcement officer is adding 8 cents, and that will be also a Department of Public Works Director. He's a civil engineer. Dispatch, if it comes in at the price that we estimate, it's 5 cents to the tax rate. And the per diem for the fire department is 6 cents to the tax rate. So combined, it's 29 cents. And I can't predict what the school's gonna do, so we'll see.
Yes, you can. It's not gonna be better. We know that.
Probably not. I know today, I think I may have not have sent it to you, or maybe he copied you on it. He's sent some requests up to the legislators on some school bills that are gonna be discussed, and recommending some changes and not others to impact the district. So we'll see.
What are those more specifically?
Huh?
What would those be specifically?
I'll send you a copy. I got it on my computer. I didn't print it off tonight, so. You can-
Anything further?
Anything else, anybody?
No, I don't.
Appreciate the clarity.
Huh?
So I appreciate the clarity.
Yeah.
right.
Helpful.
There's the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.